And then we're going to do the live on Facebook. Okay. So welcome tonight. We're in webinar format, which simply means people can see us. And when we have public comment, if they want to talk, I'll promote them to panelists, allow them to talk. But other than that, Megan, if you like, I can share my screen and we can look at the agenda together and you can start, the meeting.
Sure. We'll call the meeting to order.
And the beauty of the boxes is it looks like we have a full house for our attendees. Thank you for coming this evening. And right now we have one guest in as an attendee. That's Murray. Hi, Murray Billy. And if anyone's watching in Facebook, we'll find out here in a few minutes as we see that clicker start to happen. So back to the agenda. So I'm not doing roll call, right? Because I can see Dick and Dan and Mike and Diane and Megan are here.
Yes.
Okay.
We can do a visual roll call.
Yeah. We're good on that. Now we're going to allow for public comment to start with. And Murray, do you have anything to say? Would you like to be promoted and address the Planning Commission at all? Great. He's got his hand up, so I'll promote him. We'll just leave you in the room, Murray. If you don't behave, we'll push you back to attendees so you just can watch. So don't make any funny faces or silly stuff. Great. He's coming in. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and you got 3 minutes, and I'll keep time. Whenever you start.
Sound and video. Hey,
yeah.
Hi, everybody. Just a couple of things. I've got some concerns, and I would like to, even though I'm traveling, I'll be gone for another 10 days in here in between. So if I can assist anyone in tracking down any background information to help you out, I would certainly make myself available and do whatever that resources that I have here. This is very important, as Alex has said, is that this is what you recommend as a committee, council is probably going to accept, which means we have to study this very, very carefully. And we've got to look at all the variations. You know, the roof is certainly a good starting point because you set the parameters, and there will be, I hate to say it, a lot of negative parts of this. So if it goes forward, if we can influence it to minimize those negative aspects, we'll be better off. And so we need to break it down and to spend a great deal of time and really be sure of what we're doing, because unfortunately Hillwood is quite vague in its presentations. I mean, that's their business. Their business is to get this thing built, and so they don't share anything which is potentially negative. It's our responsibility. So I want you to know you can email me at any time or call Alex, and Alex get a hold of me because he and I communicate from time to time on that one. So I'm very much interested in trying to manipulate this into a more acceptable project. And I have some real serious concerns. So if anybody also wants to talk to me off the record on the side, I'd be glad to arrange some time for that. Thank you for putting me in there, Alex. Thank you.
Thanks. So, and thank you, Murray. So I think just one thing, when we do get a complete submission, I'm sure everybody recognizes this, that we'll do everything we can to make it for every form of public inspection possible. Now, the key is complete. So if they submit something to us and we think it's not complete, I'll ship it right back to them and say, please submit a complete application. Once that's accepted, both online and in the borough building, we'll make available, and we'll do swift reaches, whatever it takes to tell people it's here to look at. And eventually the Planning Commission will be the first body to review it, and we'll have lots of public notice about, hey, the first time that the land development plan is being reviewed publicly, the Planning Commission is this date, this time, please attend. So we don't have any other persons from the public. So why don't I go to share screen real quick? And So we have a couple things on tonight's agenda. One is the meeting minutes. I'm going to ask simply that you table the accepting of the meeting minutes because yours truly, the manager, has not completed July 14th meeting minutes. I hope to have those done for your review so that you can adopt them at the next, meeting that we end up having.
And
So-
what meeting minutes are those, Alex?
This would be for the July 14th. So what we did after July 14th, that was the one that went till, I don't know, midnight or something.
Mhm.
And that was the night that you all voted. And of course, we, from that meeting, gave a memo that you all looked at and then was provided to the council so that on July 19th, the conditional use hearing started. So I want to say yours was like, I don't know if it was 14 pages or whatever of that memo. And then that led into what council ended up working on. What we did provide after the meeting, because it was closed caption, is we have posted online the 170 pages of closed caption notes from the July 14th meeting. Those don't substitute as minutes, but I'm using those in the video to create minutes so that that version that you get will be different than that, and you will get a chance to review and approve at a future meeting.
Is anyone raising an objection to the fact that we haven't approved those minutes yet?
Well, we do not post draft minutes. So the closed caption is only that. But no, I have not had anyone. I think particularly the concerned individuals related, like for example, to Churchill Future, because they had access to videos and they've had access to the closed caption. I don't think they have cared a lot about the minutes, not to say they're not important, but nobody's raised an objection that here we are. We didn't meet anytime publicly after July 14th. This is our first public meeting after that.
So that's not part of their appeal?
I do not recall reading anything that they were dissatisfied that a meeting minutes have not been posted from the July 14th meeting. That's a great observation. I'm not sure. No one's ever raised it to me. Look, I'm not happy about it. I should have had them done. But on the other hand, we didn't meet, so I was never really rushing it. We kind of got right into the conditional use hearing, and we had no idea that the conditional use hearing would take 14 hours or 14 meetings and have 60, hours of testimony. It was just, quite a whirlwind from the last time we saw each other.
I know. And if I were not as bad on things, if it didn't take me as long on things, I'm not the guy to criticize.
Well, it's fair. I mean, we should have had that done by now. I thought I could get them done, and I'm 75% of the way there. It's just I want to make sure they're tight, especially on the citizen comment. I will not include in your minutes a lot of the discussion going through line by line our draft thing, because that went back and forth. I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. That word for word, blow by blow that you get in the closed caption doesn't carry over to the minutes. Your decision gets recorded. But on the public comment side, I do like to try to get the best of what they said. I might not word for word everything they say, because that would be a transcription. And when I'm not providing a transcription, I'm providing meeting minutes. But I want to get what they say. And there's a lot of people who spoke, and I want to make sure I get that right. And I also want to capture well what the applicant said, if that makes sense. It's important to get their kind of thing into the meeting minutes, because it will be the permanent record. But I think not having talked to Dwight Ferguson, I think he was happy to have the video to use, where they could stop
yeah.
the video whenever they wanted, because they used those. Diane could testify to this. They used those plenty of times to say, hey, on July 14th at minute 30 into the meeting, Leif Metz said this or whatever, and then that carried into the hearing, and that got put into we did have, a transcription, a court reporter. And that is a gigantic document and very expensive.
Did you read it?
No, but I worked on it a lot. I mean, I did not go through it, but believe me, I put a lot of time into that, because we didn't have an in-person hearing. And when you're a court reporter, it's really good to see and hear in the same space. So she and I had to work really closely together to make sure we were getting right who was talking when, and a lot of logistics that I was able to do behind the scenes. But you can appreciate that, having done depositions. The court reporter wants to be right in front of you, hearing what you're saying, and they can stop you. But though Gavin and she at times did stop people, there was a lot of times where we had to work on translation and go back and listen to recordings. And then what I did was provide the kind of an index of all speakers in all times that they spoke, so that it worked well. Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Madam Chair, do you want to entertain a motion to table the minutes to the next?
Yeah,
public
do I
meeting
have a
of the-
motion to table the minutes till the next meeting?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mike second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now that we've got some of those things out of the way, the municipality's planning code enables governing bodies to create planning agencies, in this case, the planning commission, which the borough of Churchill has done. The municipality's planning code also contemplates, but doesn't require, the planning agency, in this case, the borough planning commission, adopt formally bylaws, which would kind of govern how they do what they do. And in those bylaws, you might say, for example, the chair is the chair for 2 4-year term, 2-year term, a 4-year term, or whatever. But I don't see those anywhere. So just because we don't have those, I thought, you know what? The council reorganized in the even number year of 2022. Why don't we just do the same with the planning commission? So what I thought was to be on the agenda tonight would be good for the council, the commission, just to either keep the chair you have, but I don't know if you have a vice chair, and then appoint a vice chair and then have a secretary. And of course, the secretary, I'll continue with all the support services, including the meeting minutes. So what I put on the agenda, and I'm going to share that screen now, is simply this kind of housekeeping stuff. So I apologize because it's sort of down here. Where did I end up putting it? Maybe I didn't put it at all because I wasn't sure whether you wanted it or not. Okay, so trust my word when I say what I'd like you to do, and Megan and I talked earlier, why don't someone make a motion, appoint the chair, and then after that, somebody might make a motion to nominate, because I think that's what you do in Robert's rules, right? You nominate a chair, somebody might then nominate the vice chair, and then someone nominate the secretary, and then we can vote on that. Does that make sense, Megan? Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine with me. I don't think we ever had a vice chair because there's only, 5 of us, so we've only just ever had a chair. And I don't think we ever had a secretary
No.
as long as I've been here.
It's because we're meeting more than we used to. Used to be once
that's
every
what's
1 or
really
2 years, whether we needed to or not.
Exactly. Well, and
Go
I
ahead, I'm
question
sorry.
whether we really need a secretary,
You don't have bylaws, so you don't.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can
I
we vote
agree
for
with
Alex
Diane.
to be secretary?
I'll serve in that role as support.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we elect Megan the chair.
I'll second that.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need a third?
Well, what we'd like to have maybe is a vice chair now, because you got all your votes. You're kind of freezing, Mike, so I'm not sure what you're hearing on our end. On your end, I guess. It looks like Mike froze. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, my internet connections keeps showing up as unstable, so I'm sorry about that.
Did we
As
get
long as
a,
you're stable.
did we get a unanimous yes on
Yeah.
on the president or the chairman? I don't know if we heard everybody. Okay, good.
All right, do we have a nomination for a vice chair?
I move that Dick Kelly take the position of vice chair.
Second that. Does anybody else have a nomination or want to talk about it, discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, Dick, for volunteering.
Thank you for your support.
You can thank us later. Mhm.
the next meeting is March, what, 12th, Alex?
It would be the same, yeah, I think it does change a little bit, right? Because, no, it would be March 2nd,
March 2nd, okay.
the same night.
Uh,
And I mentioned, besides the aforementioned or discussed imminent application for the redevelopment of the Westinghouse site, we will look to this year, council has authorized the Cohen Law Group to amend the zoning ordinance related to 5G. The state passed laws last year that seem to basically would preempt local government regulation of 5G. However, it did do a carve out within our zoning to allow us to address 5G, if that makes sense. So they're kind of preempting us on the one level, which means they're superseding us and saying, don't get in the way of technology development. But on the other hand, it does give us a limited ability to do a carve out. So we hired the Cohen Law Group to help us amend our zoning ordinance to be able to deal with the issue to the fullest we can within our parameters that have been given us by the state. So that's not ready, that draft. But what we like to do with draft zoning ordinances or draft amendments to the zoning ordinance is run them by the planning commission. So there's a possibility in the middle of this Westinghouse redevelopment proposal, you may have a small presentation related to the subject of how we regulate the emerging technology of 5G. And so stay tuned for that. When I get that, same kind of thing, I'll submit it to the planning commission, we'll get it out online, and we'll have discussions. And then you act on it, and then eventually the council would amend the borough zoning code appropriately. Diane, did I miss anything that we have kind of
No,
going?
I think for those that aren't familiar, what it really amounts to is the extent to which we can have an effect on where these small units are placed, how many can be placed in a particular situation. We have a residential community. We don't want these things popping up all over people's yards and so on. We have a limited frame within which we can work, but we're going to try to maximize what we can do, to keep private properties from being affected more than they would like. So that's what that is.
You can put them on chicken coops, is that what you said? No. That sounds good, when that's ready. We'll certainly contemplate it. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the group, for the good of the order at this time?
An idea. I meant to send Alex an email about this. Just a passing thought. Now that so many people have taken down their holiday lights, it's a lot darker on our streets. And I remember when I was little and they built all these, a lot of these homes, everyone had gas lights, and a lot of them have been changed to electric. I just wish people would leave a porch light or a post light on more. And can we encourage that somehow? Our streets are really dark without street lights.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I just read a historical news article from like the 1950s where the borough decided they didn't want any street lights. It was really interesting because local governments in Pennsylvania have a number of avenues to have and maintain street lights, and boroughs not that included. So it's really interesting. There's some decision long ago that was by design, that we would be relying on each property owner to illuminate the street. But I like what you're getting at. And we have on council committees to look at different issues, and infrastructure is one of those committees. And I think that's certainly something to discuss. I've wondered myself why this place is so dark in so many spots. And even with Westinghouse being as dark as it's been, I'm sure it was not as dark as it was or is now, back in the day. But it's really, wow. It's a big difference when you kind of drive up here and you kind of look around it. It's to your point, even on the street level, not a lot of light.
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up in the city. My parents always told us we had to be in when the street lights came on.
Yeah,
So we knew when to come home when the street lights came on.
that's right. That's right.
I moved here 52 years ago, and there was a street light on my street, and then within the last 10, 15 years, it was taken down, and it's just very dark around here. I keep my lights on, but you know, yeah, it's dark.
There's a street over in Forest Hills that particularly in the winter with the trees down, you can see the whole street. It's fairly new. It's over by the Trinity Christian, and somehow they've organized that whole street that they all leave their porch lights on, and they all have the exact same type of light bulb. It's an LED. It's a cool white thing, and the whole string of them is very impressive. And I think it's a cul-de-sac. I have no reason to drive over there, but I've often seen that and was impressed. Why don't more people around here leave their lights on? It's not expensive with LED lamps.
I know it's very strange on my street. I think we are one of, there's 2 people who leave their lights on all night. We are one. And then there's a person of this, everybody else has these dark houses because they have motion lights. But if no deer come along during the night, there's no light on. So I'm very much attuned to what you're saying. I think that I'm sure the infrastructure committee would look forward to hearing any thoughts you might have. You know,
And Mike, I like the idea of the email, and maybe Diane, how about we get a newsletter article to just talk about it, so that people can maybe have discussions in their own little communities and pockets of the borough. I mean,
you know, let's let infrastructure take a look at what Mike's going to send in, and then we can talk about that in terms of our planning, because I think that is an excellent point. And if we're going to be getting, for example, one way or the other, we're going to be advocating to get more public transit coming to Churchill. And, you know, the assumption that after 5 o'clock, there are going to be people getting off the buses wherever they are and walking home. That's another factor that the darkness in this community is not conducive to public transportation after dark. So, yeah.
Good point.
Anything else? Well, with that, then we adjourn the meeting. Thank you all again. Thank you for voting me in as chairman, and we'll talk presumably next month.
very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Okay.
all.
Onward.
All right.